Welcome back to Abel's Treasures. Today, we have the opportunity to talk to a Cincinnati picker. It was a great conversation. Remember to stay to the end for the 3 takeaways that I pulled from it. But please let me know down below what you pulled out of the conversation. Remember to share, like, subscribe, hit the bell notification, all that stuff to help my channel out. Don't forget to subscribe to Cincinnati Picker's channel, which I'll link down below, as well as to his Instagram. Again, let's jump right into it. See you on the other side. All right, John, welcome to my channel, to Abel's Treasures. Now, I know a lot of people know you, and I will ask about you to tell me a little bit about your background, but the number one thing, the most important thing that we need to talk about right now is the dumpster bandits.
First off, thank you for having me, Abel. It's always fun hanging out with new YouTubers and resellers and just getting to know people. So the dumpster bandits, oh God, I let Ricky out of there today actually and gave him water for the first time because he just looks hot. I've been meaning to give him water on other times that I let him out. But yeah, he took right to it and was drinking up a bunch of water. They have been getting in that dumpster now for, I don't know, probably 4 or 5 months. It's been a while. And I was letting them out for a couple months before I realized, like, I should just start recording this. I was putting it on my Instagram story and then put it in a YouTube video. And then one day I just randomly made a TikTok for them and it went crazy. So, yeah, the rest is history with the little raccoons.
Why do you think it went crazy? I kind of have an idea, but I kind of want to hear it from you.
I think the fact that I gave them names kind of helped, kind of making them like characters. And it was like recurring characters of like Ricky and Lucy are both here. Oh, now it's just Ricky. And just like how fast they would jump out of the ladder and things like that. I think
people are invested.
They are invested. Yeah, they're seriously invested. Like the comments crack me up. They're always like, I check this every morning. And there for a while, I wasn't really posting anything because they weren't there. I'd still check on them, but if they weren't there, I usually don't make a video.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I read the comments a little bit ago as well. They're like, this makes me really sad and happy at the same time, so you're confusing people.
Right, for sure.
So we'll kind of move on from that, but I really wanted to start the conversation that way because a lot of people are invested in that. So I really want to know a little bit about you, and I know you've probably had videos like this, but tell me a little bit about your background, your family, and why you got into reselling, please.
Yeah, I actually got into reselling, gosh, it's been like 20 years ago now. My grandma bought a piece of furniture at a garage sale, and I had a truck at the time, and she said, hey, can you go pick up this furniture for me with your truck? So I went and got it, and I was working at a sporting goods store at the time, and this garage sale had a whole bunch of sporting goods, and I bought it up pretty cheap and took it to my boss and made like $200, and I was hooked from that day on. And I was primarily doing sporting goods for a long time, and before I kind of branched out and started doing other stuff, but made some really good money that way. Family, I'm married with 2 kids. I've got a 6-year-old daughter named Darcy, a 3-year-old boy named Sawyer, and they're just my world. They're great kids, and they like going to garage sales too. We make it a family thing, and it's tough to corral them sometimes, and they want to buy everything they can. So as they get a little older, I'm trying to teach them like how to negotiate and kind of like bundle items and things like this. The 6-year-old's starting to get it a little bit. 3-year-old, there's going to take some time.
Yeah, you have a little bit of time.
Yeah.
I think that's how I connected with you. Like I mentioned, I watched you a long time ago, even before I made my YouTube channel, and that connection of family. If I remember correctly, buying suitcases for foster children. As well. It's just something that I resonated with, just kind of connected with because you're trying to give back. And that's why I stayed with your YouTube channel, from the beginning. Can you talk a little bit about the foster, what you guys do in that?
Yeah, my wife and I have been foster parents now for 3 years, I think it's been. And specifically for the suitcases, the kids always come to us with just like a garbage bag. Like, they pick these kids up and they just put all our stuff in a garbage bag. So whenever they're ready to reunite with their family, we always make sure we give them a suitcase to go back home with. And we find them pretty cheap. We try to find them to where they're in good condition. They're not too torn up or dirty or gross or anything. And then we donate them to either our local agency or the county. Because I think sometimes they store them, and like that way when they go to pick up the kids, they've got a suitcase to put their stuff in instead of just a garbage bag.
Yeah. your whole family has a huge heart. Where does that come from?
I've just always been like that, I think, just the way my parents raised me to give back. I can remember being a really young kid and just donating volunteering at soup kitchens, just hosting families for Christmas, things like that. I think they instilled it at a really young age to always give back and take care of people and just treat people the way you want to be treated.
So you've been reselling for 20 years. When did you go full time?
I went full time in 2014. So I'm coming up on like 9 years that I've been full time now.
Can you talk to some of the struggles that you had or the decision of going full time? Was it an easy decision? And why did you go full time?
Definitely wasn't an easy decision. My wife was pretty skeptical. And I went full time because I didn't like my job. I think I was like, at the time, I think I was selling windows for Home Depot or something like that, and like going to different appointments at houses and like quoting their window sizes and stuff. I just couldn't stand it. I hated it. And I was making great money just selling part time. I was making really good money. And I'm like, if I could just put more time into this, I know I could give it a go. And it's been great. There's nothing else that I would rather be doing. I don't think there's anything else I'm meant to be doing either.
Yeah. I mean, it seems like you're a natural, and I'm going to say the numbers because I'm on this side, but it just seems like you're successful at it. Do you feel successful at it, or what's your definition of success?
My definition of success is to be able to support my family. And I've been able to do that since I've gone full time. So if I can do this as a job and, bring home enough income to support my family and save a little bit too, then I think it's a success.
Yeah.
What's your definition of success, Abel?
Really, the same thing. I want, like we talked about off camera, I'm not full time yet, but that is one of my goals. But that's not my definition of success. That's not what makes me as a person. My definition of success is having the flexibility to be able to give back. So when I do go full time, I'm going to be even more busy is my hope and dream, looking for opportunities to give back some way, but also be successful to have enough income. On top of that, I've mentioned this in other videos, is to show my children that a 9-to-5 job is great. And I mean, I did that for many years, and doing it right now, but that's not the only way. You have other options if you choose to do that. You don't have to, but there are other options that you can pursue if you work hard enough to do that. And luckily, my children, both, I'm proud of both of them, and they work hard. They understand the definition of working hard. So they will be successful in whatever they choose to do. But that's my definition of success, is being that mentor, hopefully, for them in the future. So,
I love that. And they'll never lose that work ethic. That'll serve them well the rest of their life. That's definitely one of the best things you can instill in kids.
Yeah. And hopefully, just in the last interview, the last conversation is being able to make mistakes. I didn't learn that when my son is 22 and my daughter's 18. They don't want to make any mistakes, taking that risk. And looking back, I wish I failed a lot more than I did, because that means I was able to put myself out there more. I'm 44 now. I don't mind putting myself out there. It comes with old age too. I'm not as shy. I'm here on YouTube,
That's a great way to look at failure, putting yourself out there. Like, there's a quote that says something like, if you're not failing, then you're not trying. You're not trying hard enough, because failure is just how we learn, how we keep going. Like, I've failed on so many things. I've had so many bad buys. I've lost so much money on shipping items that I didn't realize it was going to California, things like that. And like, once you do that once or twice, you're not going to do it again. You learn how to do it.
And that's what I want this channel to be about is, for example, and again, we kind of talked about this. You are someone who a lot of people look at as successful, doing everything the right way. I'm talking for the masses right now, okay? I'm not going to be able to get to where he's at. He's been lucky. He's been this, that, or the other. The limiting mindset, the excuses that we put in our head, and I have them too. But can you talk to some of your failures and how you overcame them?
Yeah, sure. First off, I have been super lucky with reselling, with YouTube, everything. I've had a ton of people give me shout outs, and I've had so much good advice along the way. And I always try to pay that forward to the next generation coming up. people that are just starting with reselling or people that are just getting started with YouTube. Like, I always try to pay that advice forward. A failure I've had with the reselling, I wasted a lot of time and money on like return pallets. This is like probably back in like 2015 or so. And I lost thousands on those. And it wasn't until I figured out kind of like the percentage and mindset you have to go into with these pallets. And they're getting more and more popular. These companies buy truckloads of returns from Amazon or Walmart or Home Depot or whatever. And a lot of times they'll just sell off a whole pallet. And I have people reach out to me a lot about like, oh, should I invest this and that? And I always tell people to not spend more money on a pallet that they can't afford to lose, because it's a total gamble, because you don't know if the stuff's broken, and you just have to assume that at least probably 60 or 70% of it's broken. It is not even sellable.
Right.
So yeah, I lost a lot of money doing that, but then once I really learned how to kind of approach those, I ended up making a lot of money doing them. There was a place in Indianapolis that I would go to once a month and just fill a trailer full of stuff and flip it quick. And once I was getting the hang of like the pallets to avoid and the ones to look for, I did really good.
With that, do you kind of look back and wish, or I should rephrase that, look back and realize how much you've learned from buying that first pallet that you lost money from?
Yeah, definitely. I think that's the best way to learn, honestly, is just by doing, by trying things out. Because somebody could tell you something and it might not really resonate, but then once you're really in it and doing the work and figuring up the numbers, like, I'd lost money on this deal, it's like you're going to be pretty hesitant to do it next time, and you're going to take something away from it.
And I've kind of learned that, or just by watching Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, a lot of questions that come out are a lot of the same questions. And I get the feeling, and tell me if you disagree, but I get the feeling somebody wants to, I'm going to hand it to you. This is exactly how you need to do this, versus here are some of the steps, but you really have to go do it yourself. That's the feeling I get from a lot of the questions that I see out there. Because I have questions too, but why not try it? Does that make sense?
Yeah, that makes total sense. I've had a variety of questions like that. Reselling is not... one thing doesn't work for everybody. I mean, I've met thousands of resellers over the years, and everyone does it differently. But it also works. You know what I mean? The way that I do it works for me, but it might not work for you or for somebody else. So that's why I think that it's really hard to just do blanket statements like, go find items here, sell them there, and pay X amount of dollars and sell them for Y. Like, it just doesn't work. You got to figure out what's right for you. Just because I don't like selling a certain item or I don't know a lot about something doesn't mean it's not going to be good for somebody else. I always preach that, buy and sell what you want to buy and sell. If you have zero interest in it and you don't want to mess with it, then don't do it.
Right.
Because you're going to get burnt out quick doing stuff you don't want to do. I know people that go to the Goodwills and they just scan books all day long, scan, and sit on Amazon. They'll put in 8 hours scanning books. Like, that's not for me. I couldn't do that. I get burnt out really quick.
Right. And I need to do a disclaimer when I ask that question. I want people to ask questions. Shoot, if people have questions on this YouTube channel, put it in the comments below, and I would answer or reach out to John and ask you as well. So I want people to ask questions. That is definitely not my point. So I just want to put that disclaimer there. So because that's how we learn. You ask questions. There's no dumb questions, right?
There's no dumb questions. Yeah, definitely not. I've been doing coaching calls with people the last few weeks, and there was a newer seller, and they've been paying for postage at the post office desk and like paying full rate, and you just don't know these things until you know them. You know what I mean? Like,
right? Yeah.
You learn as you go and talking to different people, and like you learn that you can go on Pirate Ship or eBay and save 20-25%. Like, you just don't know this stuff until you figure it out. I can remember I was handwriting addresses for at least a few months on everything I would sell, instead of like printing out the labels and stuff. So you figure this stuff out as you go, and just because somebody's been doing it longer doesn't mean that they're better than anybody else. We're this whole community is here to lift each other up and really help each other grow as people and as resellers.
And that's the one thing I didn't know. There's a whole community of resellers 2 years ago, and when I fell into it, it's great. I mean, just the people that will answer your questions and just be friendly and support you. You know, you can do it. And I'm like, I don't even really know this person, but I'm friends with them on Instagram. Or, you know, just different examples like that. It's great.
It's incredible, isn't it? There's a wealth of knowledge and sharing and support out there. It's fantastic. Yeah. It's really, really amazing. I found it in 2017. I found the YouTube reselling community, and my eyes was like, oh my God, this is nuts. And that's really when I took my reselling to a whole nother level, because I embraced what everybody else was selling and all that knowledge, and really kind of opened my mind about what I could be buying and reselling.
Yeah. On that note, I want to ask you a question. I'm going to do a video on this because I have a rebuttal on what I heard on a live chat in YouTube, but I want your opinion on it. Somebody put in the live chat, how do I talk to this person the impression I get is making fun of me? Why are you buying dead people's stuff to resell? You know, that negative aspect of it. How would you respond to that person that's asking that question?
I would say the family of that person that passed away is probably trying to recoup some kind of money for a funeral or something. They're having the sale for a reason. They're not, they're not just having a sale for fun. They're selling things to try to raise money for whatever it is that they're trying to raise money for. A lot of times it's funeral costs. So I would say you are supporting that family. Unfortunately, the person that's passed away, that loved one, there's nothing that we can do to support them anymore since they're not with us. But you can support that family by going to estate sales and buying things.
Yeah, that's a great answer. I like that. The other thing about it is when I have bought vintage toys, in my mind, I respect the story behind it. It's not just a piece of plastic. Some adult probably now, or someone who may have passed away, has played with that, enjoyed that toy. It's not new in the packages. Normally, I'm not buying it that way. And so there's a whole story behind that. And going to garage sales and having that connection, talking to them, yeah, this so-and-so, this person loved this toy, X, Y, and Z, and just talking to them, they're moving that story onto the next person. So I definitely respect that story. I will continue to sell those items, but take it on to the next story and let it continue to move on. Yeah.
It's so cool, isn't it? Like, resellers are kind of the bridge for like the previous generation and owner of something, and like keeping that story alive and then bringing it on to the next person instead of just going to a landfill or something like that. It's pretty cool.
And then that's when it truly dies, that person's story. Yeah. I don't know. That's kind of premise of my next video, probably next week, regarding that, because I don't know, that stuck with me. Somebody's being talked down to because they're a reseller, and we definitely want to build people up, have additional income.
Yeah, there's a common stigma with reselling that, a lot of people just misunderstand. And I always like to remind them, like, do you shop at Target? Do you shop at the grocery store? Have you been to Walmart? They're doing the exact same thing, but on a much larger scale. But for some reason, they don't like the little guy making any money. They just want corporations to, I guess. I don't know.
I don't understand the mindset as well, because I'm a reseller, so I'm probably closed-minded to that side of it. I know I've had people ask me, do you feel bad? Because I bought a hat for probably 50 cents and sold it for $20, things like that. Do you feel bad? I'm like, no, they were wanting to get rid of it.
Yeah, 100%. I think that's what people forget is people are having garage sales. They want to get rid of stuff. I'm completely transparent at sales. I tell them I resell, and that usually brings more stuff my way. They're like, oh, yeah, look at this. Like, this is going for this on eBay. That's happened so many times. They don't want to put it on eBay. If they wanted to put it on eBay, they would put it on eBay. I can't tell you how many people I've talked to at garage sales. They know what it sells for on eBay. They don't want to do the work. They don't want to list it. They don't want to pack it and ship it and do all that. They would rather be gone with it, have cash in hand, and just be done. And they're happy that I make money on it. And usually, they bring me more stuff. Like, I've built a lot of relationships like that with people that just really don't like eBay. Maybe they sell at the flea market or whatever it is, and they'll bring me stuff that they can't move where they are, and they know I can sell it on eBay.
What I hear, too, is that build relationships. Can you talk to how do you build relationships with a brand new person that ends up maybe being a source for you?
Yeah. I think in building relationships, you always want to think about how you can solve someone's problem. So if you're at a garage sale, if they have anything that you're interested in, always ask if they have more. Or if they have a lot of one thing, kind of just chat them up. Where did you get this? Are you a collector? And a lot of times you can figure out that people might have a problem that they need fixed, whether it is like stuff needs to be cleaned out, they need to get a space back. Like a lot of times people have a garage or a basement that is just like hoarded up. And it's like, I can help you get this out and get your space back. And sometimes it's a matter of people have stuff that they want to sell, and maybe they sell in person at flea markets, for example, and they have stuff that's eBay worthy that they just don't want to do with eBay. So if you come from a mindset of like fixing their problem, like I'll take your eBay stuff and give you cash for it, or I'll clean out your garage, you kind of create a win-win scenario, and people remember that. They remember that you took care of them, and a lot of times it means like paying more than you want to. I've got a guy that I've been buying from for years now, and he brought me a carload of stuff. I mean, brought it to my shop. I didn't have to go anywhere. Yeah. And it was a lot of stuff. I think it was like $800 or $900 worth of stuff. And I was like, what do you want for this? And he's like, $200. I'm like, I'm not going to give you $200. Like, here's $350. And like, he was just baffled, like that anybody would pay more than he's asking. And I was like, I know you have more stuff. I want to keep this relationship going. Like, you brought this to me. Gas isn't cheap. Time is important. Like, you save me an hour each way. Like, I'll gladly pay you more money. And now he comes to me all the time with stuff, and we've got a really good relationship. We do like a reverse negotiation. It's hilarious. Like, I'll throw out a number, and he's like, "No, cheaper than that." And like, it's really funny, the back and forth. But we got a great relationship, and I've made a ton of money off selling his stuff. It's been awesome.
That's awesome. That's, again, part of what my channel is connections with people. And I bet you when you see him, you enjoy having a conversation with him. It's not just about the stuff that he's bringing to you.
Oh, 100%. Yeah. We're catching up, just shooting the breeze. And that's honestly, networking is really how you can take your reselling to the next level. Because if you're just one person, you're out there beating the streets, hitting up thrift stores and garage sales, you can only find so much in a day. But if you can create something to where stuff is coming to you, or you have people you're buying from on a recurring basis, that's really when you can ramp up business big time. Yeah.
So on that note, on ramping up your business, scaling up, are you the only one that does the eBay business? Is it just you, or do you have help? Remind me, please.
Yeah, it's just me. I had some help this summer with the Whatnot, specifically with running some shows and shipping some cards and things like that. They've since gone back off to college, so I'm just taking on everything again. But that's the beauty of reselling. The scalability is huge. You can scale up and scale down relatively easily. So if you've got hired help, you can delegate different tasks, whether it's taking pictures, shipping, and then you're doing something else. And then in my case, once they go back to college, I'm just scaling down. I'm not selling as much on Whatnot. I'm not running as long of shows because I know that's going to take more time to pack and ship the next day. So it's all about a nice little balance.
That's good. I think that's really good information for a lot of people to hear. And I've heard that before, but the more times we can say that and talk about networking and being able to scale different ways, the more it's going to resonate with people. And I think people will be successful if they pay attention to that. I'm paying attention to it. There's a few people, mentors of mine. Again, when I say mentors, they may not even know that they're mentoring me, right? But watching their moves and saying, okay, is this something I should put in my business, or is this something that I should ignore? With trying to stay focused. The more we can say it, I think the better.
Yeah, 100%. And also, scalability is something that gets talked about a lot in the YouTube community of like reselling and like scaling up. Don't feel pressured to do what the other guy is doing. I always tell people, compare yourself to yourself. Yes. I keep a whiteboard of like my monthly listings and monthly sales on eBay. Like, just try to incrementally improve. That could be improving your average sale price, improving your monthly sales, whatever it is. Like, it's not always the best idea to get a huge warehouse and hire a bunch of employees and just, go crazy all at once. Like, just take things slow, go at your own pace, and just compare yourself to yourself. Because if you're watching a lot of these YouTubers and, doing hundreds of thousands of dollars a year in sales, it's like, oh, why can't I get there? Why can't I get there? Like, just slowly improve.
And on that note, I have a quick story for you, and I want your reaction to it. We talked about failure a little bit earlier. I received an email saying my item hasn't arrived yet. So I opened a ticket with the United States Postal Service and responded, because one of the things is I've born and raised customer service. Age 16, I was in telemarketing, so I was talking to somebody, and that customer service is very important to me. Well, in this case, I said I will send you another email in 24 to 48 hours with the response. I'm growing and I can feel that growth. It's great. Well, if you're growing too fast, I forgot to reply in the 48 hours because I was so busy. And this is a good thing. I was busy packing things on Poshmark, Mercari, and getting all those logistics out of the way. I completely forgot to respond. I'm grinning because I realize that is growing pains. So now the first time ever I have a ding on my eBay account because it was a case that I can't remember how they worded it, but it was closed by eBay instead of myself. And that's a growing pain, but I'm grinning because I'm okay. I had to fail to learn from that. I need to list all the customer service things that I need to respond within 24 to 48 hours, so I have that. So when you're saying don't compare yourself, scalability, things like that, that's what happens if you grow too fast. You start making mistakes, and mine was only one, but if I keep trying to grow faster than I need to, there's going to be multiple ones in my eBay store will close.
Yeah, that's a great story. That's a really good story. It's good that you recognize it and kind of see it as a learning opportunity, instead of taking the negative viewpoint of it.
Yeah.
When I think it was back in like 2015, 2016, I was doing a little bit of eBay, but I owned my own online auction business. And I wasn't responding in time to those eBay things. And I think I had like 2 or 3 cases closed on eBay's behalf. The eBay's one that closed them before I responded. And they put me down to like below standard. Like the ratings, like top rated, standard, and below. I got below standard. And they did something like, they either like started holding my money or something funky. And I'm like, wow. And that was a huge wake up call. I mean, eBay was a really small part of my business back then. But it was still a wake-up call of like, okay, like you've got to take this seriously. Like even though you're only making, I don't know, a few $100 a week from it or whatever it was, like it's something to take seriously. And I've remembered that since. And that kind of puts a fire under my butt whenever I'm getting messages or a case is opened or whatever. Like I'm just trying to respond to it as fast as I can. Like I see it, okay, stop what I'm doing, take care of it, it's done. And I think the customers appreciate that too. If they're getting their answer resolved in like an hour, I think they notice it.
I think that's the thing is, and now I'm not talking to you, John, I'm talking to everybody else. Don't be afraid to make the mistakes. Try to avoid them but learn from them as well. And then move on, because it's not something I think about a lot now. It's like, I learned from it. I need to do better. I'm going to adjust and go for it. So
yeah. And you'll remember that next time you get a message about something like that, about I am not received or some kind of case.
Yeah. Take action immediately. Now, John, my channel is called Abel's Treasures, and we'll close out with this, and this is what I like to close out with. What is your greatest treasure? I know.
My greatest treasure is my family, 100%. If we're just talking, like the way I see treasure, it's definitely my family. I'm so lucky to have the family that I do, and lucky to be able to foster. We don't have any kids staying with us right now. But this past summer we had a girl stay with us for a few months, and I think we're double digits now with kids that have stayed with us over the years, like 11, 12, something like that. But yeah, I'm just super fortunate to be in the position that I'm in, and love my family.
That's awesome. And I want to recognize you for the amount of giving back that you do with Foster. And I see it through the Instagram and YouTube videos, things like that. So I just want to acknowledge you for your big heart, for you and your family, your wife as well. So thank you for what you do. And thank you for coming on my channel here. Any last words before we close out?
First off, thank you for having me on. This was an absolute joy. Last words, anybody that's reselling or making YouTube videos or whatever, remember to have fun. This is supposed to be fun. This is why we do this. We don't have to do the grind of regular jobs like everybody else, or if you're doing full-time or doing part-time, you might still have that grind. But just remember that this is fun. Enjoy the fun. Have fun with it. I see Abel having fun on his Instagram stories, tossing stuff back and forth with his postal workers and really enjoying it. So yeah, just remember to find the fun.
Yes, John, this conversation was a lot of fun. So thank you for coming on to my channel. Now, I want to let you know the 3 things that I pulled out of this conversation, 3 tips. Now, number 1 is the last thing that John said. No matter what you do, make sure you're having fun. If you're not enjoying the whole process of reselling, for example, definitely analyze how to make it fun. Look at it from a different perspective, that you're blessed to do that. Or you can also analyze and see maybe you need to go in a different avenue. Also have fun at work, cutting the grass, working out, whatever it may be. It's the perspective in life that makes everything fun. All right, number 2. Number 2 was scalability. I really liked what John was talking about, how he's able to scale up and scale down depending on different circumstances. And it's okay for you to do that as well. Don't compare yourself to others. Do what you can, set your goals, push yourself, but understand that you can scale up or down depending on your personal circumstances. So don't compare yourself to others. And number 3, he didn't say this directly, but this is what I heard. He mentioned when he first started eBay, he was writing out his labels and putting it on the package, right? What I took away from that is everybody starts somewhere. So if you're thinking about starting reselling, or if you're thinking about starting that job, if you're thinking about, I'm going to start working out, just start now. You are going to make mistakes, and that's okay, because out of every single failure, you're improving little by little. So just start now. You might be like John, where you're writing out a label instead of printing it out. But then look where he's gotten now. So just start. Now, the final thing, as always, is the greatest treasure is connections with people. Take care of each other. Welcome back to Abel's Treasures. Today, we have the opportunity to talk to Cincinnati Picker. It was a great conversation. Remember to stay to the end for the 3 takeaways that I pulled from it, but please let me know down below what you pulled out of the conversation. Also, remember to share, like, subscribe, hit the bell notification, all that stuff to help my channel out. Don't forget to subscribe to Cincinnati Picker's channel, which I'll link down below, as well as to his Instagram. Again, let's jump right into it. See you on the other side.